Hello, I am Mia and I am an illustration and animation student at Minerva. I started here as a naive girl thinking, I like drawing, how fun to make my hobby my profession. Well, I still am naive, but I realized that the concept of having fun was more important to me than I first noticed. Of course, whoever decides to study art or design probably has the aspect of fun in mind and doesn't only pursue it with the biggest possible wealth in their thoughts, but I actually based more of my decisions on what I thought was fun than I realized at that time. Let's start at the beginning. Chapter 1. About illustration and self-doubt. I was born with a pencil in my hand. In school, I was that kid that would get into trouble because the teachers didn't believe me that I could concentrate better when drawing. I loved crafting, painting, drawing, everything I could get my hands on. 2019, I purchased an iPad and a whole new world opened up to me, diving into digital art and the huge network on social media that illustrators have. I started to really enjoy drawing stylized characters and just explore digital art more. It only seemed logical to pursue art and design further, especially since I've always been a make your passion your profession type of person. I got into Minerva, and after the first year, it was very clear to me that illustration and animation was the right track for me. I had a lot of fun in the workshops and in the classes, but whenever I presented something that was more like what I privately enjoyed making and I didn't make specifically for school, I got feedback that told me my illustrations are too Disney and too commercial. I was supposed to work bigger and bolder, but I had fun doing what I was doing. What does that mean? It left me quite confused about my position in not only the art world as a whole, but also Minerva specifically. I didn't feel like I was a very good fit, and I felt like I had to push myself away from what I liked in order to get good grades. Yes, teachers told me to never work for the teachers, but always for myself. But how does that look like if what I feel like I do for myself doesn't work? As you can imagine, having these thoughts was, well, not very fun. I stopped drawing. Chapter 2. About animation and learning things about myself. There is something you need to know about me. Something that I wish I had known sooner. Do you know the feeling when you clean up and you're focused on the task and eager to get it done, but when your partner or roommate or parent tells you to do it, that you immediately want to stop? Yes? Well, you might understand something about me that I didn't understand for a very long time. There is this thing called demand avoidance, which makes you refuse normal demands. Experiment more or work bigger did not mean stop doing what you like. But to me, this is exactly what it meant. It meant whether or not you have fun at what you do does not matter, and there's only one right way. The funny thing is that whenever I committed to the assignments I originally thought I would hate, I actually ended up having a lot of fun, and in the end, this fun, combined with how surprised I felt about having it, was more memorable for me than most of the assignments I was excited for in the first place. I started to see a pattern here and challenged myself to be more open-minded about assignments out of my comfort zone, while at the same time trying a bit more to find a way to make them my own and not just do what I think the teachers might like. It was a learning process to be able to tell which assignments needed thorough planning and me sticking to routines and methods I know I am good at, and which other projects would benefit from some experimentation and leaving my comfort zone. I picked the animation track because I still had a big interest in learning more about different programs, digital art in general, and also mainly because this was what I figured I could possibly see myself doing in the future. I also found myself using my sketchbook again, every now and then, which was a welcome observation because I really missed feeling the joy I got out of drawing. I allowed myself to keep drawing the Disney-like characters that I liked, because in fact Disney always has been a huge inspiration for me, and I started to hear your work is too much like Disney more like a compliment than a harsh critique. I can be inspired by the world's biggest and most successful animators and still try to find my own handwriting within it. Chapter 3. About a new passion. Shortly before we all split up into our different tracks, we had the alter ego assignment. For some reason I cannot explain, I felt like crocheting a 70 centimeter tall bear with fine yarn and a 2.5mm hook was a good idea for this. Well, finishing the assignment took me approximately 3 weeks longer than the actual deadline, so time management wise, the brilliance of this idea is questionable, but what did happen is that after crocheting the same stitch for multiple hours every day for weeks, I was not sick of it. This was a big sign for me to realize I think I'm having fun here. I think I like this. I did like it. My home quickly turned into what could be mistaken for a yarn store. You would first only ever see me with the crochet hook in my hand, which later was replaced by knitting needles from time to time, and suddenly 90% of the messages friends and family would send me on Instagram were reels or photos of fiber art related content. These other creators I saw and connected with online became my biggest inspiration and showed me that it is possible to make a small income with fiber art. I got so excited about this being an option and I dedicated the switchboard semester to try to figure out a lot about how that could look like for me and what I would like my own small business to be like. Differently from what everyone, including me, would have expected my first bigger animation project I did for uni to be like, I did not make a digital animation or focus it on character design, which I still love though. It was actually quite experimental and 50% of it were not digital art at all. Plus, I found a way of including my knitting in it and made a short animated clip using knitted fabric. Born was the idea for my graduation project. The speed and intensity with which this newfound passion for fiber arts overruled me was incomparable, so I knew, as long as I am still in university and my projects are solely up to me and could be anything, I want to make something I will probably not find the time for that soon again, and that is just going to be, you guessed it, fun. I want to make a knitted animation, but this time for real. And I want to create something I know child Mia would have loved. A walk-in installation or room that from the inside is designed as an underwater world, but fully made out of handmade textiles. I want to feel everything around me and see the creations of 1 year of work surrounding me completely. Ideally, I could find a way to incorporate my animation in that as well. Chapter 4. About the importance of my inner child. I loved being a child. I loved the way that insecurities and complexes were basically non-existent for me. I love the blessing of not knowing some things about the world we live in, and I love the way that I experience things. That's why, and I only saw this pattern in retrospective as well, I like to include memories from my childhood or things that I enjoyed as a child in my art from time to time. Seeing then how important the factor of how much fun things are for me is in the process of decision making suddenly really made sense. I don't like, and really who does, being treated like a child, but others treating me like one and me thinking of my inner one and making it happy are two very different things. And I think that is pretty much what my position, at least right now, seems to be. Finding the sweet spot between satisfying my inner child and being professional, having fun and getting important things done, being open-minded and brave to step out of my comfort zone, and being true to myself. I am standing at the very beginning of my adulthood and also my career, so it's no surprise that I still have a lot to figure out, but I know myself better now, and that makes this progress a lot less intimidating and maybe, hopefully, quite fun.